be here tonight with Umberto Mucci, who I met in October 2019 when I was a brand new employee here. And I have followed We the Italians ever since and feel very well informed all the time thanks to his good work, and I'm glad he's with us tonight. And before Umberto takes the microphone, I am going to ask the Consul General to come up and say a few words of welcome, because I'm thrilling to have him with us here tonight as well.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Sorry. And particularly tonight, because of this presentation. I was made aware of just 1 week ago. I didn't know this project. To say I read through this first publication, and I think the Italian-American Reputation Lab is a great initiative, and can become a very useful tool, not only for the institutions, but let me say, for the Italian-American community and associations as well. And what I appreciate particularly is that there is an analysis of the perception of the Italian-Americans in Italy too. This is very important, because I can tell you, and I always repeat it, some of my friends here will notice that I had to come here in New York City and spend some time here to really become aware of what is the Italian-American community in New York City and the tri-state, which is very, in a way, representative of the whole United States. And I can't deny that there is lots of ignorance in Italy, and even stereotypes. We ourselves have the stereotypes about ourselves, about the Italian-American community. So I think there is a lot of work to do. It's very important to see now some big organizations reaching out again, because COVID, of course, broke any communication for years, but reaching out again to Italy and focusing on very concrete stuff like business. And I noticed, for instance, how the perception of Italian Americans has improved in Italy following the involvement of some Italian American businessmen in the Italian soccer. Which maybe Commisso might not agree that this has been a positive development. But the Rocco Commisso is very much the symbol of this, and one of the precursors of this trend. And I can tell for sure that now more and more teams are looking at the United States and this different way of doing sport business. We have a lot to learn from here. This is a small example, but it's a very powerful area, because soccer in Italy, I mean, after Mamma is the most important thing. So I learned a lot. I have plenty of questions on this, the way it's been done and the background, but there is a huge potential, and as a Consulate General, we're also ready to help to the extent of possible for the future publication. Thank you very much and good luck.
Hello, how are you, my friends? I'm excited. I'm here. I was here 3 years ago talking about Columbus and the Italian perspective, and who would have thought that after that everything happened. Okay, but I'm here again. I'm among friends. I'm in this beautiful place. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And this time with me from Rome, there's Fabrizio Fasani, who is the managing director of We the Italians. Give him a round of applause, please. He's the person We the Italians was needing. Now, I want to thank Consul General Di Michele, who I met virtually on Zoom when he was appointed in Rome. We were in, he was at Farnesina, I was in my house, and we talked about what was happening here. And I'm very happy to meet him here. And, all friends. I mean, I don't want to spend half an hour mentioning all of you. You're all my friends, and I Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Angelo, for hosting us. Thank you, Lisa. Now, every time I think about the Italian Americans, I think about the fact that here in the United States, these people, you guys who have Italian DNA, are known as hardworking people. And when I say this in Italy, a lot of people disagree about the fact that Italian DNA means being hardworking. A lot of people think that, not you, but Italians who live in Italy do not work very hard. Maybe that's because there is not the business-friendly environment in Italy, not always that you have here. So the context helps the Italian DNA and the hardworking attitude. So you are once again testimonials about the fact that Italy needs more America and America needs more Italy. And well, I think that the story of the Italian American community speaks about the fact that reputation is important. Because at the beginning of the mass migration from Italy to here, the reputation of the Italian Americans was awful. And they paid a lot of crimes they didn't commit about this fact. And through the decades, as we will see, things got better because of them, because you work hard and just paved the way for your children and grandchildren. So if there is an ethnic group which means a lot and is the testimonial about the fact that reputation is very important, I think it's the Italian American ethnic group. Now, this report is, and the Italian American Reputation Lab, this is a 2022 annual report regarding data on 2021. We will do an annual report every year, and hopefully we will be able to present it here every year. It will be fantastic. This is the brainchild of the conjunction of two entities. We the Italians, which I here represent, and a reputation research company leader in Italy, which is called Swan. And Davide Ippolito, who is the president of Swan, couldn't be here and he apologizes. He is the geek about the data. So I will try to do his job in trying to explaining. You will find them in the report. But he is actually the one who is leader in the reputation research in Italy. Now, let's start, and then if you will have the questions at the end of the presentation, I will be happy to try to answer as much as I can. Okay, so many sectors of the economy are already impacted by the projected reputation value. But the problem is that, as my friend Fabrizio told me, if a manager cannot measure something, he or she cannot improve it. He or she cannot try to make it better. And so this is why this is most important, because reputation is not something that companies or people or organizations usually take care of in Italy and here in the United States. Now, let's talk about our research methodology, which is very important because it is scientific. It's based on reputation rating, a patented process. You can see this is the patent released by the Ministry for Economic Development of the Italian government. A patented process developed in machine learning and identifying 10 reputation dimensions, because Davide told me that every one of us, every organization, every company has got 10 different reputations, not just one. And these 10 reputations are made by 5 drivers and 5 stakeholder groups. This is the first and only patent of this kind in the world. And the method is the one which is patented. And it measures the impact of all the compliance documents, like certificates, for instance, and media intelligence results applied to the organization through specialized protocols, evaluations, auditing, and functional data mining. This is how we transform the reputation in a measurable facts-based strategic asset. Let's start with some data. I'll try to be brief. I don't want to get too into specifics. But these two driver on the left and stakeholder on the right are the two kind of criteria. Drivers are the actions And you have community engagement, financial performance, leadership and innovation, CSR, and workplace and government and governance, while as stakeholder you have citizens, these are the actors, citizens, partnerships, society and political institutions, community and investor and financial institutions. So the algorithm says that in those years, the reputation of Italian Americans worldwide increased by 38.3%, which is amazing if you think about that. The reputation passed from people associated with crime and bad things, you know, and being loud. You know better than me what are the words that once upon a time were associated with Italian Americans. But thanks to you, who improved, who had success, who climbed the ladder, the reputation of Italian Americans got better and better, and this is wonderful. This is worldwide. Sorry. Now, who's talking? First, how many people and interactions have we found in the media environment, the web and traditional channels addressing Italian Americans in the last year? 24,000 mentions in Italy with 8,100 others. It's 8,099 others, and then with Italians, which probably has done the majority of those. In the United States, it's 142,760 mentions. But what's important, the first fun fact is that in the rest of the world, there's more people who talk about Italian Americans than in the United States. The second fun fact is that in the United States, the Italian Americans group is the third community for number of mentions, and the first as for those of European descendants, even more than German Americans and Irish Americans, which both have more than twice the number of US citizens. We found that there's a kind of 50 million German Americans and 50 million Irish Americans, but only 20 million Italian Americans. But they are mentioned, you are mentioned more than German Americans and Irish Americans. This is the reputation of Italian Americans in Italy. Okay, so it's booming. It is booming due to an increased amount of investments and their typology as previewed the Consul General, and also because of a bold presence of Italian Americans in the entertainment industry. 32.3% of the engagement is positive, only 6.7% is negative. Now what happens? You see that this is a chart and you see a peak. The number of negative mentions in Italy related to Italian Americans has always been very low, except for a recent peak. Remember, this is 2021. Now, before the next slide, of course, this is data. We are not citing, we are not we were not telling anything about data. What happened in this peak where the reputation of Italian Americans in Italy had a blast in the negative meaning? This happened. Cuomo's legal defense statement was very perceived. Guys, I'm talking about the perception Italy had. I'm not judging, I'm not citing, this is just data, and it is related about Italy. What happened in Italy? This legal defense statement, or at least what it was brought to the media, from the media, was very perceived as very unfortunate in Italy, and the mainstream media reactivated old stereotypes about Italian Americans. However, this Cuomo story is the only negative event we recorded in 2021 regarding the Italian Americans. This is the tag cloud. Tag clouds are very interesting. You all know what a tag cloud is, right? Okay. So the bigger is the word, the higher is the number of mentioning. Now, this is the tag cloud of the reputation of Italian Americans in Italy, and it's the media environment tag cloud. It shows that today the main keywords which are present in the public discourse are related to positive aspects. There is no negative aspects. You can see president, presidente, you can say famiglia, you can see ricerca, origini, community. There's no bad words here. So there are no bad words in Italian in Italy associated to the Italian Americans. Now let's talk about.
There is no bad words.
Yeah. this is actually, the merit of this goes to you guys. You climbed that ladder, you changed the narrative. Now, about the Italian American investments, these guys, these 8 pictures are about those who invested in the Italian soccer. You know, as Council General said, that soccer is very important. Now, sports investments alone are impacting the overall reputation of the Italian American community for an incredible plus 29%. In the most recent years, also due to the Italian government's policy on attracting foreign investments, the Italian American reputation has boosted in a variety of ways. In fact, investments that created the most media exposure are these ones. Now, make no mistake, these names these are 8 names. The first 3, Stephen Pagliuca, Rocco Commisso, and Jerry Cardinale, they invested in teams which are in the first league, Serie A. Only one invested his own money, which is Rocco Commisso, and he is very loud in insisting in meaning this. The other 2, Stephen Pagliuca and Jerry Cardinale, are head of funds that invested in the Atalanta and in the champions of the Serie A league, which is Milan. I'm rooting for Milan. Now, in the Serie B, the second league, there's Matt Rizzetta with Ascoli and Joe Tacopina with Spal. In the third league, it's John Aiello with Cesena. And in the fourth league is Giancarlo Natale, Nocerina, and Tonino Doino in Roma City, which is the third, the third soccer team of Italy. In 2021, of Rome. In 2021, the Italian-American investor with the best reputation is Rocco Commisso, which is also the one who is almost always in the media. Now, this is fun. The 5 Italian-Americans with the best reputation in Italy. I will need an engagement from you here. Now, number 5 is Robert De Niro. Number 4 is Quentin Tarantino. Before I go to the next slide, number 3 is Sylvester Stallone. And number 2 is Frank Sinatra. Now, yep, not number 1. No, aside from let's take aside those from you who were born in Italy. There are some of you who were born in Italy, but the other ones, much probably, have never heard about who is at number 1. So this is a surprise. This is the news that goes to the media. And we prepared something to explain you a little bit who this person is. Do you want to guess? But not the ones who were born in Italy, please.
It's in the middle, so.
Okay, let's I'll show you. And I'll ask for...
They have the record in hands, so it's very...
Okay. Okay. So this is number 3, this is the number 2, and this is the number 1. Do you know who Mike Bongiorno was?
Oh my God!
How many of you who are born here know Mike Bongiorno? Let's raise hands. 1. Okay. Okay. Now, who Mike Bongiorno was? I know that my friend Luca Baudasso, who is from Turin, know very well who Mike Bongiorno was. We prepared a small video which explains who he was.
Mike Bongiorno changed the Italian television landscape during a post-war period in which this powerful media outlet shaped the Italians and represented a tremendous acceleration vehicle toward a future full of economic growth, joy, and happiness. Allegria, Mike used to say, a word that also became for decades the most distinctive expression in the local popular culture. By introducing the quiz show format into the Italian TV evening program, for the first time ever, Mike taught Italians the "you can do it" American spirit, a stage where simple, unknown contestants became extraordinary heroes. The whole country shut down when Mike was on air, like during the games of the national soccer team. Mike's birth name was Michael Nicholas Salvatore Bongiorno, and he was born in New York City in 1924 from parents of Italian descent. His father was a well-known lawyer who became president of the Order of Sons of Italy in America. During World War II, he was enlisted in the Partisans Legion with the delicate role of liaison between the Italian resistance and the American Allies. He was imprisoned for several months until he was deported to Germany and was then fortunate enough to be freed thanks to a prisoner of war exchange between the United States and Germany. In 1946, and for several years after, he relocated to New York City, where he worked as radio broadcaster at Generoso Pope's daily newspaper called Il Progresso Italo-Americano, while also working as media correspondent for the Italian press. Mike returned to Italy in the early 50s, embodying the spirit of an Italian American who was proud of his roots and loyal to both countries. And because during the post-war period, lots of Italian families had some second-generation relative in the States, Mike was able to represent them all as positive role model and inspiring character. Those were the years of the Marshall Plan, years filled with gratitude for all Americans and Italian Americans who first liberated the country and then boosted the national economy. Mike Bongiorno wrote the history of Italy in two completely different and complementary ways, as a partisan and as a showman, in war and in peace, incognito and on the TV spotlight.
He would have been 100 years in 2024, and I would like to do something to bring his story here in the United States, in New York especially, because it would be very interesting to tell his story. We summarized it in 2 minutes, but it's much more interesting and longer than it shows here. Okay, so so this is the talk loud about discussions about Italian Americans, almost so positive as you can see, or neutral, and they reinforce the underlying values of the community. You see there's good experience, cuisine, public, working, sauce. There's sauce, there's no gravy. I'm sorry for those of you who say that it's gravy. It just says sauce, but don't blame it on me. These are the data. It just until 30 years ago, the major discussions on the Italian American themes were about mafia culture and the underworld crime, also fed by the stereotypes created by the film and TV industry. Today, the perception of the Italian American community is rapidly changing, and once again, thanks to you, because these are changements that come by the fact that you just pushed hard and hard to work, to climb the ladder, to have success, to bring innovation, and to change the narrative. And you did it. This is, in the last 20 months, we can highlight an increasing negative sentiment related to the Christopher Columbus cancel culture debate. And the last slides will be about Columbus. Every year in the annual report, we will try to have a focus on Columbus because we feel that it's very important. But the attacks towards Columbus did not affect very much the Italian Americans. They involved them deeply in the conversation, but they were not the theme of the conversation. Now, if you can see, there's 148K mentionings of Columbus in the world, and 110,000 come from the United States, 38,000 from the rest of the world. Okay, so any data can be interpreted in any way. I will give you my interpretation, but this I'm telling is just my interpretation of the data. To me, this means that the rest of the world does not feel that Columbus needs to be attacked. They perceive him as the hero that he was, and that once upon a time, almost every American thought he was. The other countries are more or less there are very few K mentionings. You can see that 110,000 are in the United States, and that's because here is where the debate is running at this moment. More in details, in this slide you can see the topics of greatest interest about the Columbus Day. And among the many generic keyword search on Columbus Day, the one concerning the relationship between Columbus Day and the indigenous people is only in 10th position by volume. This means that when people search for Columbus Day online, they don't look for Indigenous Day. They don't associate Columbus Day to Indigenous Day. It's the 10th position. There's 9 other positions before. If we shift the focus to Christopher Columbus as an historical figure, the questions that cast a little more doubt on his morality have a monthly search volume below 400 compared to the almost 10,000 of a question like, where did Christopher Columbus land, or is Columbus Spanish or Italian? 400 compared to 10,000. This is a tag cloud about Columbus, and by looking at overall media environments tag cloud, the word indigenous is present without negative words. This is a tag word that doesn't say anything negative. There is no negative words, you know. Then we have 2 slides which are a little bit more technical, but in the social media discussions, this is interesting. About the figure of Christopher Columbus, the 82% has a totally neutral position. You can see 9% positive, 9% negative, that's 18%. The rest is neutral. This is social media generally. Let me pass this. However, the same team gets much closer to a neutral take when looking at the mainstream media. Once again, TV and press, which by default are not dynamic media outlets. Now, the problem of the loud noise about this team on the web is coming from top influencers that with few posts generate a lot of exposure. Angelo, I think that these 2 next slides, I mean Angelo, but everybody, are very interesting and very important to whoever, and here I see many people who cares about this, wants to counterattack the shameful attacks towards Columbus. This is the tag cloud coming from the top influencers. You can see spitting, you can see slaves, mutilated, murdered, genocide, okay? So these are the top influencers, and these are the words associated to Christopher Columbus by them. But if we look at what happens in the mainstream USA citizens, that's a completely different narrative. There is no negative word here. You have good, you have holiday, you have family, you have happy, you have children. There's no negative words in the USA Citizens Clouds. This is the top influencers cloud. You know the difference, you see the difference. So as far as I'm concerned, this is where the efforts and maybe the money should be directed. Trying to having a conversation with these people, the USA citizens, they don't usually associate negative words to Christopher Columbus. Now, the presentation is ended. This is the marketing part of the presentation. We can do qualitative and quantitative reputation research programs, functional data mining, surveys, assessments and monitoring, media and business intelligence, reputation reports and management, and PR and media engagements. Because of the powerful integration of networks, know-how and logistical resources made available, remember, not just by We Italians, by We Italians and Zwan, which created the Italian American Reputation Lab, we can offer a variety of highly strategic services tailored to specific needs, KPIs, and spheres of interest. Thank you.